Watch your profanity.
Was really good.
What's up, selectors? It is Select Screen here. Shout out to my man DJ Crystal Clear, who was first in the chat, man. Super excited for this one. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, this is a special one, man. This is something that's been in the making for a long time. We're going to be talking about SummerSlam that happened basically 2 weekends ago, but we're going to be talking about WWE in general with a focus on SummerSlam with my guy, the Colonel, who will be joining us right here on Twitch. I hope you guys are super excited for this. It's going to be an amazing stream because we're going to be having a lot of fun. All right. What I need you guys to do is like, share, subscribe, sub at linktr.ee/select screen. We're on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Apple and Spotify, podcasts. We've been doing Mortal Kombat reactions, getting ready for Mortal Kombat 1 coming out. Beta is this weekend. I hope y'all ready, man. My Sub-Zero is coming to wipe the floor with y'all, right? Yeah. So check it out, man. Lots of good things going on. Lots of things planned for you guys. But tonight, we're going to be talking about SummerSlam, all right? You've liked, you've subbed, you've subscribed. You've checked out Elmo's videos on our YouTube channel. I think you're ready to
choose your destiny.
I'm ready. I know y'all ready. So let's go. Yes, sir. We are in the building. We're ready. We're trying something else out new with this collab cam. And we're going to see how it goes. I want to bring in a very special guest. I need you all to go crazy. Make some noise in the chat. Put a yeah. Put a yeah in the chat. Let's see if I got do I got a hand clap in here? I got a suspense noise from Spider-Man. How about that? There you go. Make some noise for my man, the Colonel himself of Colonel's Crunk, MVP, the Colonel. What's good, man? How are you?
Good, bro. Select, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm excited to jump into this with you, man. It's been a long time coming. Tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do overall.
Oh man, put me on the spot like that, huh? Nah, it's all hood. Yeah, you know, everybody calls me the Colonel. My nickname is MVP, and I am the CEO of G Life Outreach, CEO and founder. And you know, I'm a gospel hip hop recording artist, as well as, you know, a father, a husband, a soldier for Christ. You know, just putting in work however I can to you know, be a positive influence, you know, in my community, and just reaching out to the youngsters, and you know, trying to make some good music with you, of course, and
Definitely.
just reaching the streets for Christ. And that's what we all about. That's what we all about.
I like it, man.
Okay, I like it. Picasso.
Picasso, yeah, I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Man, right now I need you guys. You've already liked our channel. You get that, but head over to YouTube, man. Check out Colonel Crunk, and that's at Colonel Crunk TV on YouTube. Go over there and subscribe. I got his stats all pulled up here from my TubeBuddy. My bad on that. But go check that out, man. He's got plenty of videos, amazing music on that channel, as well as movie reviews. Matter of fact, I know we're supposed to be talking about SummerSlam, but this Thursday, man, we're going to be doing
excited.
Yeah, we're going to do a collab review for Blue Beetle. So
Blue Beetle.
Some of y'all on the channel have been wondering, like, what are you guys gonna do about Blue Beetle? Something special. There it is. You heard it here first.
Yep. We ain't gonna let you, give it all away, but we're gonna do a little something, something.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun, man.
Like
It's gonna be fun.
I like to say, we the black Siskel and Ebert.
That's right. I love that. I love that. Well, man, let's jump into this SummerSlam thing real quick.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about a couple of the matches. You guys know how we kind of do it, man. We go through, usually when we do reactions and reviews, I give you the bad, the good, and then a grade. We're going to go and do something a little bit different this time. We're going to go match by match, talk about what we liked, maybe what we didn't like about each match. And then I guess we'll kind of give it an overall grade at the end. If you guys don't know, SummerSlam happened August 5th in Detroit. This is kind of like WWE's, I don't know, I want to say it's probably their second most popular or second big event. Would you say the same thing, Colonel?
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm biased though. Out of all their, pay-per-views throughout the year, SummerSlam is my favorite. So
really,
I like it. I like it more than I like WrestleMania. Just how it's been since I've been a kid. So
really, why? Tell me why.
I don't know. There's just something about SummerSlam that there's a lot of things about SummerSlam that's expected as well as unexpected. As compared to a lot of the other pay-per-views. Of course, like WrestleMania, the biggest pay-per-view that WWE, has every year. You look forward to it, but at the end of the day, you kind of know what to expect and what's going to happen and how a lot of things, with a lot of the matches that are booked each year for WrestleMania, you kind of know how they're going to play out. SummerSlam is just one of those pay-per-views where things never play out and pan out like you would think it would or hope it would or want it to. So I don't know, it just kind of catches you, it kind of surprises you, kind of catches you off guard, and that's what I really like about SummerSlam. I never know what I'm going to get when I'm watching it, so I'm always excited and ready for it because I'm really looking to see, man, how is it going to shock me this year? You know what I'm saying? A lot of shock and awe in SummerSlam every year. So that's just my take. Like I said, it is my favorite pay-per-view of each year. So I was really, once again, looking forward to SummerSlam, this past SummerSlam. So
Perfect.
That's described really, really well, man. I never thought of it that way.
Yep.
My favorite. I don't know if it was maybe it was at SummerSlam, but my favorite match of all time. It probably was. But I think it was the first TLC match before they started making TLC a pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view, yeah.
Yeah, when it was the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardy Boys. That match, it just lives in my brain forever. I know Edge is getting ready to have, his big celebration. Well, I think Friday on SmackDown. And I know Raw's, I think for some of y'all, Raw's on right now as well. That pay-per-view just stands out to me as just one of those moments of like, man, even if you didn't like professional wrestling, like this is the match to show your friends. Like, hey, watch this because everybody has got their weapon. We had ladders for the Hardys, we had tables for the Dudleys, and we had chairs for Edge and Christian, man.
Yeah.
That was bananas.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, speaking of bananas, Logan Paul in these yellow and black spandex pants versus
Logan
Ricochet.
Paul is growing on me, man.
Is he growing on you?
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that real quick, and I'm gonna say that
What?
Right off the bat, he's really growing on me because when he first started, I was like, what does the WWE see in this fool? But I didn't, and I know that, he's big on, social media and YouTube, and, he's got like you know, him and his brother got like a billion followers combined or whatever. But I, like I said, when he first started in the WWE, I just could not understand what he was doing there. But
That's right.
I'm going to say the man has been growing on me. The man's got some skills, and the man is an entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, regardless of whether, people know you from specifically from WWE, and that's where you've been, since the very beginning, or if it's one of these particular celebrities or whatnot that they bring in every so often and let them wrestle and have a match or whatnot. If you can't wrestle, if you can't entertain, you have no business being in a WWE ring. And Logan Paul is an entertainer.
Yeah.
He is an entertainer. He's got some skills, and his character, I just like I'm like you say, his character is kind of growing on me. Even though I guess his character is really supposed to be him.
It's
You know
just
what I'm
him,
saying?
right?
He's not really playing a character. He's supposed to be who he really is. So, but
Right. It's like back in the day when Mr. T was just playing Mr. T.
yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah!
So,
that's
but yeah,
basic.
he's growing on me. But I mean, yeah, that interesting, very interesting match, and I already knew that, especially from some of the previous matches that I've seen Logan Paul in, and knowing, you know what Ricochet is all about, I
Whew,
knew this was going to be one of those high flying,
whew.
captivating matches where it's like, yo, they're going to keep moving, they're going to keep jumping, they're going to, probably 90% of the match is going to be from off the top rope,
Right.
or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So,
And what I think they saw when booking this match, and I'm assuming that Triple H had something to do with this, when they had maybe one or two pay-per-views before, when they had that brawl and they both jumped off the ropes on
oh
opposite
yeah,
sides of the rings and clotheslined each other, I was like,
yeah,
they need to feud now. Like,
yeah, yeah.
and what was
That was
interesting,
the icing on the cake right there.
it was because that was one of the best moves of that whole pay-per-view.
Yeah.
What was crazy to me was kind of the setup of how he attacked his fiance, the ring announce. I forget her
Oh
name.
yeah. Hmm.
I was like, yo, that was kind of slick, Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Like that was a
Yeah.
good look. Like you said, he's an entertainer
Yep.
and he knew how to kind of push those buttons. Um, but I mean, this man wrestled Roman Reigns just like maybe 3 pay-per-views ago in the main event. And he
Hmm.
held his own, a lot, a lot. I feel like, and I gotta give props where props are due. Bad Bunny to me changed how I saw celebrity wrestlers because when Bad Bunny came out and did it, I was like, all right, this dude is, reggaeton, you know, he's not a wrestler. What is he
Yeah.
out here doing? And then
Hmm.
he's out here doing backflips and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm willing to let it go because again, we're not getting, Mr. T, even
Yeah.
Mike Tyson. When we had Mike Tyson back in the day,
Hmm.
or we had Shaq. Come on, now we know good and well, Big Show and Shaq. That that was just not going to work.
Yeah.
But that's what I was expecting from both of these guys, and
Hmm.
I felt like Logan Paul. I know there's a lot of guys on our channel. Shout out to Wrestling God Streams who really told me like, "Hey, you need to give him a chance because he's got the work ethic."
Yeah.
What was interesting too about this was that match could have been right on before Roman Reigns, but he wanted to go first because I think is his brother Jake.
Yeah.
Okay, because Jake had
Hmm.
a boxing match. I think that's why that one went first. Why Ricochet and Logan Paul went first,
Oh, okay.
so he could fly out because he was there at Jake's fight,
Oh.
and Jake
So after
fought.
the match, he was out the building.
He was gone.
Okay. He
And he
came, did his thing, rolled out, went to see his support his brother. Hey,
yep, yep. And I think Jake Paul won by decision against Nate Diaz, which that's a whole nother stream.
for real.
That's a whole nother stream. Overall, though, what did you think of the match? What would you give that match? Like a B, C, D, E, F?
I give it a B,
A B?
a high B, B plus.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the match. I
Yeah.
really did. Like I said, I mean, hats off to Logan Paul. Like I said, he's really grown on me. He's got some skills. He's a great entertainer. But we also gotta tip our hat to Ricochet. Which we already knew what Ricochet was going to be able, what he does. So
Yes.
it was obvious. So I think the only thing maybe people were worried about at the beginning is, can Logan Paul keep up with Ricochet?
Yeah.
And he did it. He kept up with him. Yep. And it was a really good match. Like I said, I enjoyed it. So definitely have to give it like I said, a high B, B plus for sure.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. B plus on that one.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
I mean, they were just fantastic. And what makes Ricochet so good is he blurs that line of selling moves, and that's exactly what Logan Paul needed. Like, he'll sell something and it's over the top enough where it's like, this is pro wrestling, but it's not like like The Rock taking the stunner, where he's flipping 800 times,
Yeah.
He sells it enough where it's like, oh, that looked like that really hurt.
Yeah.
So, I mean, historically, what I'm seeing, and we talk about this a lot on our Discord, is that some of these guys who are putting over the celebrities, they seem to kind of be the next in line. If you look at how, let's see, it was Bad Bunny and Damian Priest.
True.
When that happened, and he really, he had a good match with Bad Bunny. Now he's Mr. Money in the Bank, or I forget how he says it in Spanish, but he's right there.
Yeah.
And so I can see them pushing Logan Paul like, look, you had a phenomenal match with Ricochet. We're going to start. I mean, you already went up against Roman, but I can see him. He's in the higher card for sure.
Most definitely. Yeah, it's only a matter of time.
Let's move
Especially
on.
if he keeps performing the way he's performing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have to.
Yep.
You ain't gonna be able to just, like you say, he's already been, in the main event, against Roman Reigns and did all that, and so.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just, what shocks me about him is that he's a high flyer. Like, we haven't seen, like I said, Bad Bunny can do a flip and all that stuff, but Logan Paul, I mean, he's doing stuff that anybody else coming in, you can't just, like you said at the beginning, you can't be some, off the cuff celebrity unless you're going to do commentary like Snoop did.
Exactly.
And Snoop threw probably the most stage punch I've ever seen in my life. But that's another good segue. When we talk about stage fights, Cody Rhodes defeated Brock Lesnar. What's your thoughts on this one?
I'm gonna have to say, I mean, I was happy. I like Cody Rhodes. If you know his story and you have followed him, since he was teamed up with my favorite wrestler, which is the Viper.
Oh,
And they were, and they had that 3-man team called Legacy. And I mean, if you've seen where Cody has come from and has followed him and followed his story, um, you can't help but to be happy for Cody that he got that victory. And but realistically, once again, just like I was saying about SummerSlam, it seemed like at the end of the day, that Brock was going to get that W. He was going to
Sure.
get that victory.
Sure.
Because even once again, even though I wanted to see Cody win. I think Cody is they're building him up to eventually be the world champion, or the universal champion or whatever, and be the guy, be the face for WWE. You almost are like, yeah, he needs to get this victory, but at the same time, you're like, yo, he's going up against the beast. There ain't no, they've all they were what, tied, one win apiece.
Mm-hmm.
So you're thinking, this third match, they're probably going to give it to Brock.
Right. The threequel, right?
And they gave it to Cody. They let Cody get it. So I'm happy for it. It really seemed like Cody probably shouldn't have won that. It really seemed kind of, the match itself wasn't necessarily all that in itself, but yeah.
Okay.
Cody got it, and like I said, I think that's just another stepping stone that they're using, because once again, they're trying to elevate him, because I mean, at some point, he's gonna be champion, and he's gonna be the face of WWE.
Yeah. And that is the whole thing, is right. Finishing the story is what he keeps saying. Finishing the story. I'm one that I fell out of wrestling right around the time of John Cena. So I got out right around that time. So I missed, because it was Cody, Randy Orton, and then wasn't it Ted DiBiase?
Yeah, Ted DiBiase's son. Yeah.
His son, right?
Yeah.
I have fell out right around there, because I was like, this John Cena kid, he ain't gonna be nothing.
Yeah.
Wrong. Randy Orton, he's no Triple H. Wrong. I was completely wrong.
Yeah.
But that's where I fell out. So I've missed all of Cody. I know Cody went to AEW, and that was a big deal and whatnot. So for me, I'm looking at Cody kind of with fresh eyes, and not knowing a lot of that history. I've looked at a little bit of, I guess he did, because his dad was Gold Dust. He did Stardust, and he was kind of a clown.
Yeah.
So
yeah, his brother Dustin was Gold Dust.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Gold. Yeah, that was and so Dusty Rhodes was his dad.
Was his dad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then Dustin was Gold. Okay, that makes sense.
Was Gold Dust. Yeah.
Okay. I missed a lot of that. So for me, I don't see a whole lot of personality out of him. I see a lot of, because I don't have the legacy of it.
Exactly. Yeah. I feel you. I hear you.
And so a lot of, I get it. Hearing what you're saying makes a lot of sense of why people want to see. Because again, even on this channel, people are like, you're crazy. How can you not like Cody Rhodes? And I'm like, man, the dude tried to rap at WrestleMania, and it wasn't good. It wasn't good. I was just kind of like,
finish him.
Like, it was just, it wasn't good. But nevertheless, so I needed a lot of personality. And for me, the feud doesn't work, because Brock Lesnar, I feel like there was a reason why Brock Lesnar had Paul Heyman. Brock Lesnar, I like him as, Mr. Destroyer, Mr. I come in, the Beast,
Yeah.
But Brock Lesnar, to me, is not very great on the mic. I don't feel he just
never has been.
And
I don't think will ever be.
No. And
I think he even knows it.
I hope he does. Because the even in the promos, right? It was like when they were gonna have it was like a street fight or something like that. It's like, you want to fight? you want to fight? I'm like, bro, everybody on this roster, that's the whole point. Like, you're supposed to be fighting. It's wrestling, you know. So for me, I just wasn't invested. I wasn't invested. And what I felt like didn't help Cody to get him over was the fact that Brock Lesnar kept suplexing him. And I know we got this whole suplex city thing. I get it. But I've seen this before, and I've seen it done better with Kurt Angle. And we don't mention his name too much on this channel, but Chris Benoit. Those guys, when it came to suplexes, those suplexes were crazy. They could suplex, be in a bridge. You know, Brock Lesnar's just chucking people.
Yeah, basically.
Right? So when he's doing that, and he's doing it to Cody over and over again, I was like, all right, but his neck and his back isn't hurt. The whole storyline was he broke Cody's arm.
Yeah.
So I was waiting for him, like he attacked it, but the majority of the match was like, watch me suplex Cody. And I was like, nah. For me, I'll go ahead and drop my grade. For me, this was a D for me. It was good. What saved it from being a total failure was Brock went off script and gave Cody his props. And I thought that was cool to see.
Yeah.
A lot of people said it was a passing of the torch, but I was like, depending on how you see Brock Lesnar, he's kind of fumbled the ball. I don't know. I don't know. How about you? What's your grade on this one? Hopefully I didn't color it too much.
Give it a C.
Okay.
I don't think I would go as low as a D, but I mean, realistically, it was an average match. Majority of the match was, like you said, Brock just slamming Cody over and over again, and then the other majority of the match was, Brock throwing Cody out of the ring and telling the ref count him out.
Yeah.
And then right at what, the 9 count, Cody would be able to gather himself just enough to and have just enough time to dive right under the ring and back into the ring, only to get suplexed again and then get thrown out of the ring again. And then Brock, count him out, count him out. And then after a while, Brock was getting frustrated with that and was, shouting at Cody like, stay down, give it up, it's over. You're gonna get hurt. You're done. Stop putting yourself through this pain, because what's going to happen? You're going to come back into the ring. I'm going to suplex you again for the umpteenth time, and then I'm going to throw you right back out onto the floor because Brock ultimately looked at it like he was doing Cody a favor.
Right.
He's like, "Yo, I'm trying to help you out.
Right.
I already broke you. You already know I can break your arm. You already know I can break your bones.
Yeah.
So just as you were saying, you would think he would have focused more on that arm than, keep flipping him and throwing him on his back or neck or whatnot. What I kind of took from that was Brock already knew, hey, and of course Cody already knew that Brock can break him in half.
Okay.
And Brock really didn't want to do that. Brock was like, yo, I'm trying to save you from being in a wheelchair.
Okay.
So I'm going to slam you, throw you outside the ring, just stay down, let the ref count you out, and then let's be done with this. And after a while, I started yawning. I'm like, okay, can we get on with this? Where are we going with all of this? Because I'm tired of seeing body slam, throw him outside of the ring, ref counts to, 8 count, 9 count, and just when it looks like Cody is down and out, he gathers once again he gathers himself just in time to dive under the rope. And after a while, I'm like, yo, Cody, I want to see you win this most definitely,
Mhm.
but make a move.
Yeah. Yes.
Please make a move, do something if if that's where this is headed, that you're going to, win this match and you're going to beat the beast and
Mhm.
he's not going to break you in half or break the other arm or break a leg.
Yeah.
Make a move because this is getting kind of old.
Yeah.
And that's why I said it was kind of an average match. Um, like I said, I won't go as low as, giving it a D or anything like that, but I definitely understand, where you're coming from with giving a D because, if it wasn't how it turned out,
Mhm.
and like I said, I mean, it did take Cody, what, like two or three um, crossroads. He had to hit him with a couple Cody cutters,
Yeah.
and then the what's the move where he jumps on the rope and he turns around and kicks you. I forget
Yeah.
what they call that.
Yeah. It,
The
it
the, the disaster kick, right?
I think so. I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah. So he had to hit him with all of that before that finally put the beast down and he was able to pin him. But if it wasn't, for all of that, like you said, and how the match turned out, like you said, at the end where he gave Cody his props and was like, "Yo, really, I don't necessarily look at that as it was the passing of the torch.
Mhm.
I believe that happened because they wanted to assure the WWE universe that the rivalry was finally over.
Okay. That's fair.
Is
That's
how
fair.
is how I took it. I didn't take that as no passing of the torch or anything like I was hearing other people were saying, and as you mentioned or whatnot. I took that as them finally saying, "Yo, the hatchet is buried."
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. I can I can definitely go with that. Let's move on to well, let me throw an oh yeah in here.
Oh, yeah!
The Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal or Royale. I'm gonna let you lead on this one. What'd you think of this one?
I'm not a big fan of the battle royales anymore, only because I just like the way the Royal Rumble is done. However, I guess if you gotta have it, and that is something that is kind of a big part of SummerSlam every year is the Battle Royale. Um, I would have to say that, like I said, I'm not a big fan of it. It was good. I thought that there was a lot of moves there. You know,
Mhm.
a lot of technique was going on because at the end of the day, that's pretty much what the battle royale is.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's basically a showcase, realistically. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess you could probably say that about the Royal Rumble as well,
Yeah.
because you have so many people involved, but realistically, that's what it is. It's just a big showcase,
Yeah.
and really, I mean, and there's always a giant in it.
Yeah.
So of course, Omos was the giant for this year's um, battle royal, for SummerSlam. But I would say that once again, when I saw that Omos was a part of it,
Hmm.
I'm thinking, okay, they're gonna let, because it seems like all the big guys always win these battle royales. So I'm like, yo, it's probably Omos, but once again, SummerSlam always finds a way to catch you off guard, and just when you think you really don't.
That's really
So
good. That's really
yeah,
good.
but yeah, I mean, you know, uh, uh, but other than that, yeah, great. It very entertaining. Um, I think it was just kind of one of those things where it was like there's so many talented wrestlers right now that
Mhm.
definitely probably deserved a match or whatnot at SummerSlam. And just with any pay-per-view, everybody can't get their own match.
Sure.
So
Sure. I mean, ask Trish Stratus and the man, right? They got bumped. Actually, I think tonight they got bumped. Which we'll talk about that more.
yeah.
But
So I mean, so with that, and like I said, so
Yeah.
with that, everybody can't get their own, but the WWE still wants to showcase these wrestlers, and that's why I said, these battle royales, you know, they're at the end of the day when the smoke clears, it's a big showcase. It's a big way to kind of let everybody kind of showcase their talents and what they're all about and how they do things, and give them a center stage, because once again, everybody can't get a match.
Yeah.
But those guys that were in the battle royale, I mean, yo, they did their thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed the match.
Okay. Okay. What grade would you give it?
I'd probably give it a B,
Okay.
probably a low B.
Okay.
Like I said, I definitely didn't feel like it was just an average match. It's hard. It's with that many wrestlers, it's hard to have to that many wrestlers in the same match. It's hard for that to just become and end up being an average match, because
Sure.
there's so much going on.
Sure.
So I mean, it basically kind of keeps you entertained. It always has your eyes moving, because you're trying to watch these guys over here in this corner do their thing, and then next thing you know, you catch something in the corner of the other eye, and then next thing you know, your focus is over here, and
Yeah.
you're watching these guys in that corner, and then you got guys flipping over the match or flipping over the top rope that are trying to hang on with dear life, and so that catches your attention. So it's really hard to end up with just an average match for a battle royal.
Mm.
So yeah, I would definitely have to say it's a B, but like I said, probably a low B.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you there. I would definitely agree. Probably a low B on this one. I thought it was interesting that Omos wasn't like introduced in the match earlier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To just kind of build up some hype. It was just like, oh, by the way, the Nigerian Giant is going to be in this. And it was kind of like, oh crap. Like, like we knew there had to be, like you said, a big dude had to be in there.
Always is.
Which kind of brings me to, and I've been a big supporter of this guy.
Yeah!
LA Knight, who wins this thing. I like LA Knight. I like him a lot. I feel like he's paid his dues. He's been a lackey for a long time, and he's worked his way up, similar to Cody, I guess, in that vein. What makes me, like, everyone's saying, well, he's not anything but The Rock and Stone Cold put together. I don't see him that way. I see similarities, but
yeah, I was going to say I don't agree with that analogy either, but I see some similarities in why people are saying that.
right. And it's like trying to say that the Usos don't have any similarities to Rikishi and The Rock. You know what I mean? It's like these guys influence each other. And let's be honest, the formula does work. You know what I mean? We're talking about Omos being, basically the third or the fourth giant kind of iteration. There's molds to this for sure. What worries me a little bit about LA Knight is he's had some botches. He's had some, like, at SummerSlam, they fixed it, but on SmackDown before, he jumped on the top rope with Sheamus, and they both kind of tumbled off. Yeah. And they weren't supposed to do that, He got it right. I just want to see him sharpen the rest of it. Because on the mic, I mean, he's fantastic. Every time that music hits, when he comes out, let me talk to you. Like the whole thing, it's there for me. He's over Now I just want to see him come through. And botches are going to happen.
Come full circle. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I go back to The Rock when he's wearing his slick shoes and he went to do the people's elbow and he slipped and he just kind of slid into it.
Yeah.
Like he played it cool, you know. That's what I need LA Knight to start doing is when there's things that don't exactly go perfect, just kind of roll with it. And who's really great at that to me is AJ Styles. You don't see, he just had a botch Friday, and I forget who he was wrestling, but that guy was not in AJ Styles' league. You could just tell. And even then, AJ just kind of, all right, I picked him up. He didn't straighten his legs out so we can go down. Like, he just rolled into it and he made the best of it. And so if LA Knight can add that to his repertoire, hey, keep moving him up the ranks. I want to see where they put him, though, because as you mentioned and made a really good point earlier, one of these guys, LA Knight's got to go after somebody eventually. I think eventually he's going to be a champion. Cody Rhodes is going to be a champion. I don't necessarily want to see them go for the same championship, though. I think maybe LA Knight goes after Seth Rollins, and then Cody goes back to finish and go after Roman.
Roman Reigns.
Yeah, that would make more sense.
I agree.
But I mean, stranger things have happened, right? They may flip. I don't know. Let's go to the next one. Shayna Baszler versus Ronda Rousey. Now, we were talking a little bit before we started streaming here, and if you guys haven't yet, again, make sure to like, sub, and subscribe right here, linktr.ee/select screen, and Colonel Crunk on YouTube. Go check out his channel. Lots of good stuff there. I've been one on this channel. I've never rooted for Ronda Rousey. When she was in the UFC,
yeah,
I was all about Misha Tate. I wanted Misha to beat her so bad, and she beat Misha, at least that first time, pretty bad. Then she came to WWE as basically Rowdy Piper, and I was like,
basically, yeah.
Oh, what are we doing? And I think what bothers me about her is that it's kind of the opposite of Logan Paul for me. Logan Paul is so good on the mic. He's very charismatic. He entertains. Ronda is a fighter. I got to give her due, right? Like if she came over here and put me in an arm bar, I'm tapping out. It's happening. But this match I had pretty high hopes for because they weren't treating it like a WWE match. This was supposed to be basically a UFC match.
Basically.
Yeah. Right? Shayna, who has a UFC past, Ronda.
And that's what I was going to ask you because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that background with Shayna, that if she had UFC, or MMA, background experience or whatnot. So I guess that knowing that information probably would have helped me to understand that match a little bit more. But
sure. And part of the problem was, and this is going to get into my overall SummerSlam thing, is they kind of set up rules and didn't follow through on them. And that's kind of what bothered me about this SummerSlam. So looking at, I'm just going to go back real quick. We look at basically the Cody Rhodes Brock Lesnar match was a regular match, but it wasn't really. That was an I Quit match or a last man standing match. Yeah. This match was a UFC fight, but they came out with shoes on. And I'm like, they should have, Ronda came out in a gi, the whole thing. They should have sold it. They should have had UFC kind of, the sock things on. They should have kicked each other. Shayna did get need in the eye, and she had a huge black eye. You know, I feel like they could have. I mean, even Ronda's gear, it was the UFC gear, but it said something different. They should have sold this as this is WWE's first real MMA fight and went for it that way. Instead, Shayna's got her boots on and kicks Ronda in the head. I'm like, no, guys, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
It's not how it works. You gotta stick to your rules here that you've set up. Now, that being said, I felt like they did a good job. I'm gonna personally go with a C as far as the wrestling goes. This for me was Ronda's best match. I felt like she was at home. You know, she hit all her spots right. I know there was rumors of Ronda's either taking time off or she's leaving the WWE for something else. I still feel like she should have won. Only because Shayna, she's going to live on for another day. She's going to get that match. And I get the storyline is you eclipsed me in the UFC. I came to WWE first. And, I made a name for myself here, so you don't get to win. But it was the whole thing that Shayna betrayed her, 2-3 weeks before. It was out of the blue. Let's give that one to Ronda. Let her go into the sunset. Was my thought. So I'm going with the C on it. I don't know. What'd you think?
I will say three things. Number one, my grade. I agree with you on that. A C, probably a mid C at that. Number two, once again, just like I talked about with SummerSlam, I think everybody was expecting that Ronda was going to win this match,
Hmm.
and she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And number three, yes, it was probably one of her better matches since she's been in the WWE because that's where she's originally from and what she's originally done is, UFC, fighting, MMA, that
Mm-hmm.
type of thing. So for once, I'm just going to say Ronda looked comfortable
Yeah.
because in some of her previous WWE matches, she just did look right
Mm-hmm.
with some of the things that she would try to do. And ultimately, the only thing that she was able to really do that ever looked right was anything that was UFC style.
Yes.
But pro wrestling style, it's like Ronda, stay away from that because you do not look comfortable when you're doing those types of moves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's really my take on it.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't necessarily care for the match, but like I said earlier before we went on air, um, I am a big Ronda fan. I have been even when she was in, of course, when she was in the UFC, and when she came to WWE, I was excited about it, but at the same time, I was also really nervous for her because I'm like, is she bring will she just be bringing UFC, style fighting to the WWE?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I think as a whole, you've got to admit that the majority of the crowd for the first majority minutes of that match, they were bored. They were like,
Yeah.
boring. I think there were wasn't there some chance of boring,
Yes.
in the beginning of that match, and really that's eventually everybody was like, "Oh, okay, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
This is the WWE's first real UFC style match."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because realistically, that's not what everybody was expecting and hoping for when with this lead up to it. They under I think everybody I think the WWE universe understood that there would probably be a little crossover there,
Mm-hmm.
but trust me, the WWE universe did not want to see a complete UFC match.
No.
They're like, yo, if I want to see a complete UFC match, then I will watch the UFC.
Yes.
I'm watching WWE. I'm at SummerSlam.
Yes.
That's what I want to see. I'm at pro wrestling, WWE. That's what we want to see. Don't care if it's Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler that have both been in the UFC before. Hey, they're not in the UFC no more.
Right.
They're in the WWE, so that's what we want to see. And I
Right.
think that that's why at first everybody was booing. They're like, "Oh man, this is exactly where they're going with it."
Yeah.
Trying to make this once again, you know, a UFC match in a WWE ring,
Yeah. And
and
that's
nobody really wanted that.
yeah. Yeah. And that's what's frustrating a little bit because you bump Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus, who I mean, Becky Lynch is Becky Lynch. She's part of the Four Horsewomen. And Trish Stratus, I mean, you could argue she's the greatest women's wrestler ever. I feel like that match to get bumped, it should have been flip-flopped. That match should have been at SummerSlam because they've built up not only heat between the two of them, but they got, I forget the other girl's name, coming out of NXT. She's kind of one of the future, thank you, Trish, and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
You're kind of getting your money's doubling your money there as one, you've got a legacy. So if you haven't watched wrestling in a long time, you tune in the SummerSlam, oh, I recognize Trish. Or if you're new school, you know Becky Lynch. Or if you're really new school and you're watching NXT, you're hoping, the other girl gets in there. So there was a little bit of something in those matches compared to Shayna and Ronda at a mid card. I don't feel like they're going to steal anybody from a UFC fight at this point.
I agree.
Uh, and here's another.
I don't think nobody's worried about that.
No. And this is a bad segue, but somebody else who's just not getting anything stolen from him is Gunther. Gunther and Drew McIntyre. I thought if anybody could defeat this guy for the Intercontinental Championship, because he's I think he's 30 days maybe at the time of this recording, from breaking Honky Tonk Man's record ever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I get it. He's so close. He's going to do it. We want some current champions. How many kids know who Honky Tonk Man is, right? But man, Drew McIntyre, he's over for me. I think that guy, he's got what it takes. Gunther, I wasn't really sure about him until this match. I mean, these two guys, to me, this was Godzilla versus King Kong.
Basically.
They're out here power bombing each other and Gunther off the top rope. I'm like, what is going on? It goes back to your SummerSlam, your SummerSlam theory. I did not expect to see anything from these guys. I thought we were getting Undertaker versus Kane is what I thought this match was going to be.
Yeah.
Lots of big boots, lots of, chops and slaps, which we got a lot of as well. But some of those, the power bomb Drew McIntyre, that was crazy for me. So I went with a low A- on this one.
And I'm probably I agree with everything that you said. Everything that you said was right on point. And I'm gonna be honest, everything that you said is exactly what I was feeling about this match. Once again, I'm thinking, yo, Drew McIntyre is winning this. He's going to be the next Intercontinental Champion. And once again,
Gotcha.
SummerSlam got me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Do I got a sound
Just
for
when I thought I knew, I didn't. So, and Gunther's still the champion. Uh, but definitely, yes, a low A for it, but definitely a A. Like I said, that match, just like you said, that match as a whole just shocked me. I mean, some of the things that they were doing, some of the moves that they were doing, I was like, okay, once again, this definitely was a match meant to be at SummerSlam.
Yes. Yes.
what I what I thought I was going to get, yes, I still got that because, like you said, there was still a lot of those moves that we knew that they were going to do, a lot of chops, a lot of big boots, because these are pretty big guys,
Yeah.
but they did some things that we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
So definitely A minus, but an A nonetheless.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Do I got a? I thought I had a sound for that, but we'll just give them a Hadouken.
You don't got a chop?
I need a chop. I
Yeah,
was my sound
chop
for
would be
the
chop would be so good.
I was going to do the Black Panther. As you can see, I'm not dead, because it just seemed like they were power bombing each other and stuff like that. And I was like, this is over, and
Mhm.
yeah, perfect. That was really great. One that shocked me a little bit in a different way was Seth freaking Rollins versus Finn Balor. Finn Balor, I always say it wrong. Everybody gets on me on YouTube for this. Is it Balor or Baylor?
Baylor.
Okay. Okay, that's what we're gonna go with, Baylor.
Yeah.
Like the school.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's proper, but I mean, I guess either one works, right? But
Right.
like you
Right.
said, some people they get offended when you don't say it right.
Man.
You
Man.
know who I'm talking about.
That's right. You exactly. I'm just gonna call him Finn.
Yeah, Finn.
uh yeah, what'd you think of this one?
You I think you already know that I'm not a big Seth Rollins fan.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, no, let me back up. Let me back up, select, because I probably am speaking by saying that I was a big Seth Rollins fan,
Okay.
especially during the days of the Shield, and even once he went solo, and and was kind of still. Well, I guess really, Roman Reigns has kind of always been like the same character that he was when he was in the Shield, in a way, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all of them, of course, like Dean Ambrose, he was always crazy, but yeah, he definitely went real crazy. That's
Right.
why they started nicknaming him the lunatic. But anyway, with
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, he wasn't too far off from his character during the days of the Shield, and I know he's evolved.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying anything's wrong with that, because of course, lots of superstars start one way and they have to evolve,
Yeah.
especially when the WWE is putting them on a path to be a champion.
Sure.
You've got to have that champion persona. You've got to have that that character, that name, the whole nine yards that fits with being a WWE champion.
Yeah.
But at the same time, even with that being said, you still got to be able to look at that wrestler, that character, and go, yo, that fits you. You're still that person.
Okay.
Even though, yes, you're far from the days of being Seth Rollins when you were in the Shield.
Mm-hmm.
This character that he is now,
Mm-hmm.
it just does not fit him.
Okay.
When I look at when I'm looking at the way he's walking, the way he's talking, the way he's acting, I'm like, it just looks phony to me. So
Wow.
so
Okay.
for so for a while now, I've been just getting further and further and further away from being a Seth Rollins fan, from cheering for Seth Rollins because this I don't know what this character. I don't know if he's trying to be like like the Nature Boy, part Nature Boy, part you know, Ric Flair, part Buddy Rose, part or what? Because
Yeah.
there's so many elements to the character that he is now that just doesn't fit him, and it just seems phony to me, and I'm I just haven't been feeling him for a while. So
Okay.
really, I'm gonna be honest when I say, out of all the matches at SummerSlam, this was the one that I was least looking forward to.
Okay.
Believe it or not,
Yeah.
even though he's the world heavyweight champion,
Hmm.
I was not looking forward to it because, like I said, when I'm watching how he's doing things now, how he's moving, how he's talking, how he's wrestling, how he's acting, I don't know, it just kind of makes me nauseous.
Wow. That's good to
I'm just
know.
being
That's really
real
good.
with you,
Yeah, I
right?
appreciate it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I mean, the match was a good match. So I'm not going to take anything away necessarily from the match as a whole.
Hmm.
I'll probably give it a B,
Okay.
a mid B on the match itself. It wasn't a bad match, but like I said, when I'm just just watching Seth do his thing, it just I mean, it just feels the character just feels so phony and just feels so far off from who Seth Rollins really is.
From this, wow. See, that's. I'm first of all,
Fatality.
I feel like you barbecued that man. Oh, that's
I
really
had to
good.
do it.
That's really good. And see why I love your perspective here is, again, you and I have come into this or have been watching at different times
Yeah.
because again, I missed a lot of Shield.
Okay.
So matter of fact, Chainbreaker, Kamoy and I, last winter we went up and saw AEW, and I'm gonna come back to Seth Rollins here, and we saw Dean. I forget what Dean's name is now in AEW. But I saw him for the first time, and I was like, "Who is this dude? Like, he's dope. He's like, I'm walking around getting some snacks, and this dude's just pacing outside. I'm like, that dude's a professional wrestler. Like, what's going on, right?" So that was kind of my entry level of like looking him up. John Moxley, thank you, Clue.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I'm looking up Moxley and I'm like, oh, he was in WWE Shield, and I'm like, oh, that's where Roman came from. So I'm again connecting all the dots
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
and whatnot. But shortly after that, we went to Raw and I saw Rollins, and this was right when Rollins was kind of, I guess he was just starting to be freaking Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
And I told Miss Select Screen, I said, that dude's gonna be champion. I could see that they were grooming him the way he came out, who he reminds me of, and you were saying Flair. To me, who he reminds me of, and I don't know if it's the clothes and everything, but he reminds me of Macho Man. He doesn't have the Macho Man was he was over the top. He was just so, there's no way Macho Man was running around going,
Oh, yeah.
at the grocery store. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He wasn't doing all that. And so I can definitely see your point. I'm a big fan of him because of my point of entry. I didn't have that history of even the betrayal and Shield and all of that stuff.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's just the theme song, the the overly, I get what you're saying, because it's very manufactured.
He's like,
Yes. Yes.
Like he's, conducting an orchestra. I'm like, will you stop doing?
Yes. Yes. Now my thing with this match, getting back to the point, is Finn, he's done the demon thing and all of this stuff, and I've watched a couple of his matches. And again, I don't have the history with him, so I'm going off really what he's done in the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
And of all of the Judgment Day, he's the one who just has not captured me. I don't know what it is about him, but so as I'm watching this feud and I'm going, okay, he was the first Universal Champion. He lost it to a buckle bomb and, got hurt and had to relinquish the title. So that's kind of my history with Finn. And I'm going, this match should be like, it should be dirty. Like they should have some bad blood here. And then they're also tying in the Money in the Bank stuff. And, is Priest gonna cash in if Finn? So my expectations are high on this because they have that feud. Like to me, that was sold for me. And it didn't, the wrestling part of it didn't come through for me. Like for him to curb stomp him on the Money in the Bank thing, and it was just like, okay, especially because really Judgment Day, the majority of their matches outside of Rhea Ripley, they're always cheating. It just seems like
you kind of expected that,
right? Exactly. Like Dom has no business winning a title.
Tell me about it.
I think he has talent, but they haven't shown us any talent from him.
Yeah.
And that's why he's so over as a villain. I get it, or as a heel.
Yeah.
But from Finn, I expected more of what we got out of that first match with Ricochet. I thought we were going to get some pretty big spots, some pretty big stuff. And maybe it's just not time yet because they're dragging out their Damian Priest and Finn. Are they going to feud? But if Finn would have won the title and he didn't cash in, that would have been more tension. To me, all right, I lost because of you. Well, Finn, you're not in the picture anymore, really. You know what I mean? Like, Priest can go in here and cash, and Finn really doesn't have a say to try and wrestle Priest. Like, so I don't know. I just don't see the stakes for him. And yeah, I was somewhat disappointed in that one. I'd probably go with a C on that one. And again, and that's the other thing with it, is it's a world heavyweight championship. That's the other thing at SummerSlam. That should have been a bigger match.
Yeah.
For sure. I think too, and he wore the vest, like he wore the vest he beat Finn in, and that was kind of the only nostalgia we really got out of it. Finn's got to change his finisher too. That
where he
coup de grace
chest or something.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's called.
I
don't follow Finn. And really, I haven't followed him, since, that all happened, and he had to relinquish the title and all of that. So I've kind of he's kind of always been mediocre to me.
Yep.
So I don't really, keep my eye on, or like I said, I don't even know what his finishing move is called. But yeah, like, what is that? Like, okay, you're just jumping. What are you? Are you supposed to be breaking his ribs? Are you supposed to be not, knocking the wind out of him or something? And that's what, causes them to not be able to, kick out, when you pin them, or what? But, yeah.
And I think part of it is he's kind of a little guy. That's my thing. If that's almost jumping on you like that, or let's go to Rikishi. You know, Rikishi used to sit on people. You were going,
That's a
ooh,
different story.
yeah. You're going, ooh, this guy jumping on you is like this little Mario guy off me. Like,
Yeah. Maybe that's what it's supposed to be like when in Super Mario Brothers when he jumps on the enemies or whatnot. He's squashing them.
that's right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like I said, it was the least. It was the match I was looking forward to the least. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't expecting much out of it.
Yeah.
So what we got is exactly what I thought we were going to get, really. So at the
Yes.
end of the day, like I said, I like that they put in, Priest came out and, eventually Finn was going to try to use the Money in the Bank suitcase to hopefully, knock Seth out and get the victory or whatnot, and that backfired on him, and he got curb stomped. I really like that. I did like that.
Yeah.
He ended up getting curb stomped right on the Money in the Bank suitcase that he was going to use to try to get the victory. And like I said, it ended up backfiring on him. And so then, of course, Priest and Finn are looking at each other like, well, I think Priest was kind of looking at Finn like, yo, man, I don't know what more you want me to do. I gave you the briefcase.
Yeah.
You the one that ended up getting curb stomped on it. And Finn is looking at him like, why did you even bring the Money in the Bank? Were you thinking about cashing it in? I know that had to be at the back. So they're kind of trying to feed that into that whole thing too.
Yeah.
That eventually there could be some bad blood, and there probably is a little bit already kind of stirring between Finn and Priest, and especially because Finn is trying to get back, to the promised land and being champion, and Priest is the money in, Mr. Money in the Bank, or however he says. I forgot how he's Mr. Senior
Senior,
Money in the Bank,
senior
or
on the
something
money.
like
Like,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's like, yo, you better watch your back, because once again, I got this briefcase and I can cash it in at any time.
That's right.
And pull the rug right from under you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
whether,
And
whether Finn has the title, Seth has the title, or whoever has the title. So,
yes. Yes. And I think it's too early to break up. I almost called them the New Day. Judgment Day. It's too I mean, they're heels, but they're not heels to me. Like Rhea Ripley she's all the way over. Dom is definitely over as a heel, and I think Priest is kind of on the rise. It's like, well, what are we going to do with Finn? Like, all right, throw him in a world title match.
And Dirty Dom, I think they understand that right now, he more than any of them needs the Judgment Day.
Yes.
He's young still. He's learning. I will say this about Dirty Dom. I see some big things on the horizon for him, for his character.
Yes.
Um, he's gonna be something. He got to pay, of course, just like anybody. He got to pay his dues, and he's got to learn, and he's got a lot to still learn.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just got this feeling that, despite the fact that, of course, he's Rey Mysterio's son,
Mm-hmm.
and of course we know Rey Mysterio is a future Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah.
Who is now the USA champion.
Yeah.
Dirty Dom is, I think he's going to be one heck of a heel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One heck of a heel. So.
Oh yeah. And we needed, and I think Mysterio's even in now, in the Hall.
He's already in.
I think he got in on this last one,
Oh,
but
okay.
the thing about that is like, Dom is doing such a good heel Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing that it's kind of like you're able to bring back the LWO, Rhea's up here doing the shimmy. Like they're just doing that right. You know, even Rhea being called mommy is kind of
Yeah.
a little not jab, but a little kudos to when China was, you know,
Yeah.
Mamacita, the whole
Yeah.
thing. It's
Mhm.
like you guys played that right.
Yeah.
And to break them up now, I don't think is a good idea. What I
No, it,
want
it
to
it wouldn't be a good look. No,
no, no,
not yet.
no. And what I want to see, and this is total side note, but is, and I don't know much about him. Clues in the chat. He's kind of my historian on the channel. But the Hurt Business, I'm a big, because Bobby Lashley's from here. Looks like Bobby Lashley is going to bring back Hurt Business with MVP. No, not you, but the other MVP.
Yeah.
We're going to call him Discount MVP. You the real
Yeah,
MVP.
no doubt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. uh,
I used to like MVP though back in the day when he was wrestling.
yeah.
Did you follow him? Were you watching wrestling around that time when
I
MVP was?
I kind of came back right as Hurt Business started to kind of end, because I had heard about Bobby Lashley. So when I heard,
Yeah.
oh, you know, he's from the Springs,
Yeah.
you know, check him out, blah, 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 blah. I was like, all right, cool. Let me start tuning in and whatnot. But I'm a huge, huge fan of Ford. And why am I forgetting their names though? I just said I'm a huge fan of them. Oh my gosh. Montez Ford and I want to call him Devon Dudley, and that's not it. But anyway,
Yeah.
of their tag team joining up with oh man, they're gonna get me on Spotify for that one. I'm a big fan of them. If they go, you know, Montez Ford gets Hurt Business thing, and they pick up Bianca Blair, and then they got the Hurt Business versus Judgment Day, I'm in. I'm in. That would be, because I feel like Bianca and Rhea, they're about on the same power level. They're on the same, you know, they can get out there, they can power bomb, you know. Obviously Bianca's a little more athletic, but
Yeah.
that could be a really, really good feud.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm envisioning it as well, and I'm feeling it.
yeah. Yeah. Now we're on the topic of Bianca. For me, this was not the match of the night. I still think that goes to Logan Paul and Ricochet, but this had the move of the night, the spot of the night, if you will. This match had some botches in it, but Bianca, I always say her name wrong too, Asuka and Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
When Charlotte had Asuka in that figure eight and Bianca went off the top rope,
Man.
oh, that was a crazy spot.
Yeah. I was gonna say that was my favorite move of the night. My favorite moment of the night was that right there. Because you already know I'm a big you know, Charlotte Flair fan anyway. So I love to see her, you know, put somebody in the figure eight.
That's it.
Anyway, but then to have somebody come off the top rope on the person while she's doing the figure, oh man, it was over for me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, that's all I need to see. I'm done. That was it.
Yes. Yes. It just, it goes to show all three of them they're at the top of the game. And again, yes, there were some things that didn't go clean.
Of course.
But Charlotte, when we talk about the queen, people got to put some respect on Charlotte. She's something
She holds
else.
it down.
She really does. And I mean, really,
not just because, once again, you know, of who her daddy is,
right?
But she has paved her own legacy. She has put in the work, the time. She's got the work ethic.
Yeah.
The whole nine.
Yes.
And you know, just about every match I've ever seen her in, especially once she got to that upper echelon, has
Yeah.
always been good, really
Yes.
good matches. So,
Yes. And
so
part
like
of
I
it,
said, I'm
yeah.
a big Charlotte Flair fan. So this was probably one of probably the most probably the match that I was looking forward to the most
Mm.
was that one.
What grade?
Oh, I'm gonna have to give it probably a mid A.
Yeah.
Like I said, there were some botches. There were some different things, but however, just like you were talking about um, with who was it where you were saying L.A. Knight, where you were saying, hey, when you have some botches, you gotta, and that's gonna happen, especially when you're flying all over the place and you're doing this and doing that. You
Mm-hmm.
got to know how to play it off. You got to know how to work through it. So
Yes.
even with some of those botches, they were able to work through it and
Yes.
not necessarily, make you go, "Oh man, they screwed the pooch on that one." you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So yeah, so why I'm giving them um, you know, probably I think that's the highest one I've given
Yeah.
tonight, a mid A like that. Because even with some of the botches that they had, like I said, they didn't screw the pooch. They were still able to work through it, make it work, and like I said, kept my attention
Yeah.
from bell to bell.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then, of course, what ended up transpiring, at the end of all of that as well, because of course, I'm gonna be honest. Yes, once again, SummerSlam shocking you. I was thinking, yo, this is where Charlotte's getting the belt back.
Yeah.
She's getting the belt back. She's gonna be champion again. It's time. She gonna. I don't know what is she at? 14 time,
I think she's 14.
15.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yep, she about to be 15-time champion.
Mm.
That I just know it. It's time for the queen to get the belt back. Everybody knows it. The WWE universe knows it. The leadership of the WWE, the writers, everybody knows it's time. And once again, like I said, SummerSlam is known to shock you.
Whew. And that's why I'm going with the solid A as well on this. Because even though it was Money in the Bank, that match was so good. I forgot that Io Sky had it. So when the buzzer went off, I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And she ran out with Bailey, and I was like, oh no. Oh no. Now me and again, I love Charlotte. And I knew the three of them were going to put on a good match.
Yeah.
But we're big Bianca fans. And when she won, I was like, okay, she's banged up. Like that, what should have probably happened is Bianca shouldn't have dropped the title a little while ago. And it should have been just her and Charlotte.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I thought, okay, we're going to get a rivalry between them. And when she came out, man, and which I think they're doing a good job with Io and Bailey, kind of setting them up, where Bailey's like, it's our championship and it's our, and even how she won Money in the Bank, handcuffing them together,
Yeah.
the whole thing. Io Sky's going to give us some really great matches. But that's how you kind of set up, like, this storyline's been going on for a while with Bianca, whatever. Now it's time to kind of switch and give Bailey and Io Sky their due, because they were taking L's in War Games. And I mean, they were losing a lot of matches. I just felt like it was a good way to transition. And then, Charlotte and Bianca can kind of do what they need to do. So yeah, that, as far as that was probably the number one spot. Oh, and it almost would have been match of the night. If we didn't get that first banger out of the gate, that would have been match of the night.
Yeah.
Match of the night. And then the last one, man, you guys knew it was coming.
Acknowledge me.
Nice.
I was the most
Y'all know
hyped.
that's my guy.
That's you're a Roman guy.
Yep. Man, he the one.
This is the thing about this match. The undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in tribal combat. Real quick, Clue said on in the chat, said waiting for Bianca to turn heel. I think they're gonna make her business 2.0. They're all gonna be heels. We're gonna have heels versus heels in that Judgment Day. I don't know. I think that rivalry would be so dope. But getting back with this, I was excited for this match. I was really, really excited because the Colonel, you're a big Roman guy. I'm just sold on this storyline. I am so sold on the storyline. I just feel like WWE has not, even with John Cena, even with I would say Cody or the Viper, the storyline has not pulled me in to watch every week. Like I have to watch their segment every week, every SmackDown. Bray Wyatt, the same thing. Bray, I mean, he had that Undertaker kind of vibe, and then they did that glow in the dark match, and I was like, Undertaker would have never been doing no nonsense like this. He would have put somebody in a casket or lit him on fire. So, it just, this storyline has been so good. And I felt like the one constant in it was Jey. And Jey had beat him. That's why this was the time I think that Roman should have dropped it. But this goes back to my slight against SummerSlam this year is they set up rules and they did not follow through. This thing is about tribal combat. And what made this whole thing go to another level was when they basically they did the signing, right? And Solo goes to hit Jey. He's got the thumb out. He's getting ready to do it. And Roman stopped him. I was like, yo, there's no interference on this match. Jey's pinned him. He's pinned him before, and then he pinned him in the tag match. It's time for Jey to go off, And I knew Jimmy was going to get involved. But I thought Jimmy was going to be more of a distraction where he came out and Jey was about to pin Roman and Solo hit him again or something like that. And that stopped Jey. When Jimmy pulled him off of him and hit him with a super kick, I was like, come on, y'all. Because, and I'm going to let you talk. You're supposed to be the guest on the show, but I'm so hyped up about this because Roman's won me over. He really has. And I feel like the best match of the year was it last year's SummerSlam where he went up against Brock Lesnar. That was Brock Lesnar's that I Quit or Last Man Standing match where they ended up covering him with everything. That match was crazy. And so I feel like Roman has it in him. I wanted to see if Roman was going to beat him, I wanted him to just beat him clean. And the only reason I say that is because it wasn't just for the championship. It was for the tribal chief. And so I came down to a B- on this one because it just shouldn't have been Jimmy. It should have been Jimmy getting hurt again or some other reason as a distraction, because we said the whole difference is tribal combat is nobody interferes. It's mano a mano. And then we had Solo. Solo was beating him up in the crowd. Yeah. So I don't know. Sure. That's my long spiel on it. What do you think?
I would I would definitely agree with that. And once again, just like I've talked about, this whole interview, um, this whole podcast is that SummerSlam is just, that pay per view that all will always shock you. You just never know. And I really thought, yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I really thought that Jay was gonna that was my take on going into the match. That Jay, something's gonna happen, and Roman's gonna drop the title, and it's finally time. And now that makes sense because you're kind of looking at it and you're like, man, he has been champion for what now? I mean, for a
Bruh.
couple years
Yeah.
now,
Almost 3 years.
and he has had in that time some matches that you were like, yo, I don't understand why they didn't have him drop the title then. I don't understand why they didn't have him drop the title when he took on, such and such and such and such and so finally we get to this whole tribal combat and him taking on, not only a member of the bloodline but his family,
In house, yeah.
you know, and it to me it finally made sense why he hasn't dropped the title yet. So I'm like, okay, now that okay, this all makes sense now. If this is what it's all come to a head,
Mhm.
then it makes sense. It's probably time for him to drop the title, and that makes sense. He would drop it why he hasn't dropped it before and now. So now is probably the time he's going to drop it to Jay. And then, of course, like you said, everything just kind of transpired and went out of whack. They, like you said, they didn't hold true to the rules of it,
Right.
and you had interference here, interference there. The next thing you know, Jimmy comes. I don't know where he came from. Did he come from out of the crowd?
I
Because
think he did.
I don't think you even saw where he came
He
from.
was just
He was
there.
just there,
Yeah.
in a black hoodie.
Yeah.
So I figured, he must have, just came from out of the crowd, or he was sitting ringside, and they never, and you never saw a glimpse of him at all until bam, he just came out of nowhere and then did what he did, and then you know, um, Roman put him away and game time.
Yeah.
So it was a heck of a match.
Mm-hmm.
I still enjoyed it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm a big Roman Reigns fan. He's the one. I've been following him. I've been following Roman since even before he came into the WWE,
Wow.
in the Shield. I mean, uh, yeah, as a member of the Shield. So I was following him even before then. I knew about him even before then,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yo, and of course a lot of that has to do with, yes, because of his bloodline and who he's family with. So yes, so a lot of those guys I've kept an eye on and an ear to the street on
Yeah.
from day one. I think that once again, that's probably another reason, probably a big reason why I am a big Roman Reigns fan, because I have followed him for so long and watched him come up,
Yeah.
in wrestling or whatnot, and definitely being at the upper echelon that he's at and where he's at now as Universal Champion. So I mean, yeah, I wasn't just as I wasn't happy about seeing the bloodline implode like it did,
Mhm.
and and everybody breaking up. I mean, I was never really big on that whole thing with Sami Zayn being involved in it, but hey, okay,
The honorary
whatever.
oos.
Yeah, so honorary, Oos or whatnot, um, but everything else, yeah, I loved, and like I said, I was sad to see them kind of end it, but yeah, I mean they've been doing that storyline, the whole bloodline. I mean it's been several years,
Yeah.
so I get it when people were telling me it's not like they were on, they were only the bloodline for, a few months or a year. The bloodline was doing this thing for probably about 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
if not longer than that. So I think, yeah, that storyline in itself with the bloodline basically ran its course, and it was time. I guess, you know leadership felt like it was time to have that implode than anything else. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? I break them apart, but definitely it has the thing that I would say is, with the bloodline, and what happened with Jimmy interfering, and then of course I'm pretty sure everybody watched SmackDown, where Jimmy gave his reasoning why he did what he did. And I don't care what he said, that excuse that he used, because he kept going on and on about, I'm not trying to steal your spotlight, I'm not trying to take your thunder, I'm just trying to keep you from ending up,
Like Roman.
or whatnot. I'm like, man, get out of here
You're
with
right.
that.
Right. You cost me a championship, bro.
Yeah, for real. I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of why you did or didn't do it, you cost your brother, your twin, your ride or die. They've
Yes.
been like this,
Yes.
you know, from day one.
Yes.
I mean, they the whole nine. They're brothers. They're twin. They're probably, of course, they are closer than than any other members in the bloodline or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Even the solo.
you
Yeah. You're right.
yeah, you cost your brother an opportunity to be champion.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
to and not just any champion, because of course they've been champions before, tag team champions and whatnot, but to be the WWE Universal Champion,
Yeah.
that excuse, that reasoning, it just didn't sit well with me. But anyway,
Yeah.
the with Jimmy doing that, that has just made the bloodline continue to implode.
Hmm.
Just when you thought it had imploded already to a point where you're like, yo, this is definitely not fixable.
Yeah.
Just when you thought it couldn't implode anymore, it has. And like I said, it's I was already messed up from the for the fact that you know they it's already kind of uh, they've all broken up and yada yada woo woo. But
Yeah.
now I'm like, I'm messed up even more
Right.
now because of that. And then,
Right.
like I said, for Jimmy to to say he did what he did because he didn't want him to end up like Roman Reigns, or he didn't want him to end up being, an arrogant leader of of the bloodline,
Yeah.
like Roman. I'm like,
So he's Jimmy's still going up against Roman. And, and what doesn't make sense to me in that is Jimmy has kind of been the voice of reason in a lot of the situations, right?
yeah,
So when Jay, going back to Sammy, Jay was like, "Look, Sammy, he's snitching. He's hanging out with KO. He's gonna go back with him. He's gonna go against us." And Jimmy was like, "Nah, chill." Like Jimmy was the bridge maker when everything was good. Jay was the one that was, you know, he was out of pocket on a lot of
yeah,
stuff.
he was kind of the more the loose cannon out of yeah,
Right. So for Jimmy to now be the loose cannon, I was like, nah, that
yeah,
doesn't
that
work, man.
yeah. Mm-mm.
That's it was
I
sort of
mean,
his personality.
grade wise, like I said, I still enjoyed the match. I'll gotta give it a low A. I'm still gonna
Okay.
give it an A. I still enjoyed the match. Still was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I once again, whether a lot of that has to do because I'm a big Roman Reigns fan or not or whatnot.
Yeah.
Hey, I still enjoyed, like I said, enjoyed the match. So I'm gonna give it an A minus. But yeah, I hated that that's the way that Roman had to get the victory, though. Like you said, I would have liked to have seen it been cleaner than
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah. And
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to move it really away from Roman versus Jimmy or versus Jay, and ultimately they're trying to move it toward brother versus brother, Jimmy versus Jay.
yeah. And they kind of
You
keep
know,
sowing these seeds of Solo. Solo keeps kind of just
oh
looking back
yeah,
and forth. And I'm
yeah,
like, because everyone who's betrayed Roman has, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, they've betrayed him by hitting him with the chair, when he wasn't looking.
yeah,
So you can almost, and this is what's kind of drug me into this, in a weird perspective, Roman's actually the good guy. Because even though he's done boneheaded stuff, everybody keeps betraying him. He's not necessarily betraying everybody else. Now he's being a jerk in the process,
yeah.
but
But he ain't hit nobody in the back with a chair
that's what I'm
when they
saying.
least expected it. Like, what did you do that for? He's just kind of, I mean, at most, yeah, he's just being an arrogant, you know, um, leader,
Right. Right.
towards each of them. Because you can even see it in Solo. Like, there are times where you can tell Solo's kind of frustrated with some of the things that Roman is saying and doing or telling Solo to do.
Mm-hmm.
That Solo's like, well, why do I got to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Why do
Mm-hmm.
I got to be the bad guy here?
Right. Right.
Why am I doing your dirty work? So he's getting a little fed up with that as well. But yeah, at the same time, like you said, Roman hasn't betrayed Solo. Roman hasn't hit Solo, from behind with a chair and backstabbed him or anything like that.
Right.
So
Right.
he hasn't done that to any of them, really.
No, no, they've all, left him.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I think going forward, if Solo betrays him and it's just Roman and Paul Heyman, then Paul Heyman's got to betray him. And then you kind of flip the tables and you go, all right, now Roman's a babyface and his whole family, they could run with that angle for a while. You guys all betrayed me, and here I am trying to do something for our family, and you guys are the ones that tore this down.
yeah,
I could go for that. I could go for that. Um, but where all of that can get jacked up is Cody. If
yeah,
if Cody comes and he takes the championship, which I think is probably going to happen,
yeah. I think that's where we're headed.
if Cody does that, then maybe you can bring Roman down a tier, and then he feuds with everybody individually.
Yeah,
But what just captivates me about all of this is that they've made Roman a heel, but he's not, but he is. And, even Sammy, like when he does say, like, no, I elevated all of y'all, it's like, no, he did. He did. Oh, Clue says, or reload it and have how do you say their last name? Is it Anoi versus Fatu family feud? That, because of course Rikishi's rumored he'd been talking on Twitter
that could
like
be
crazy.
nuts too.
Ooh, ooh. But and if I'm the Rock, I'm coming back to WWE for a while. I'm gonna put movies on hold. I'm not doing Fast and Furious right now. Black Adam didn't do what I wanted it to. I need some good
Anyway.
press. Yeah, right. Right.
So
Right. So why not come back, join Rikishi, and they go and we get week to week The Rock and
yeah,
Rikishi. I would watch it. I'd watch it every week.
because the elders know they got to come back in and set some stuff straight.
They gotta do it. They gotta do it. And I thought part of it, that's why Solo was there. I thought Solo was going to be the guy to kind of, set things straight. But then when he kind of became the enforcer, I was like, oh.
Yeah,
So, yeah, have the elders come, set it all straight. And maybe in that chaos, all right, Cody gets it.
yeah, exactly.
The problem is, where does Cody go from there, though? Because you can't unify that championship. Let's say Rollins holds on to it. We can't have all the championships. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe they meld them all back into one. But then that defeats the purpose, right?
Stranger things have happened.
Right.
Sometimes I'm not sure what they're doing with these titles. I mean, the SmackDown and Raw Tag Team Champion are still one, right? Held by KO and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I think they're the only ones that are technically double champions now.
Yeah, double champions. However, they don't refer to them as like the undisputed, or universal tag team champions or nothing like that. They still only just call them because they're on SmackDown, right?
Yeah, I
The
think they're
SmackDown tag team
Mm-hmm.
champions.
Mm-hmm.
Even though right now there is no Raw tag team champions because they have both belts on SmackDown.
Yes. And that
So
the
I'm like,
whole
what are they
draft
gonna
was
do
messed
about
up.
that? I mean, is there not going to be any more tag team champions on Raw? There's just going to be just combined championship, or are they just going to eventually make that just one and just go back to having one tag team champions again, and there's not going to be a tag team champions on Raw and a tag team champions on SmackDown like there used to be,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just going to go old school and just be like, yo, just one tag team champions across the board.
Sure. They What I think they should do is they need to drop them. Sammy and KO, they need to drop them. And I don't know if you split them or something, but they need to drop them. It just hit me. Street Profits. The Street Profits with Bobby Lashley. I'd like to see them pick it up, or I don't know. Maybe that's where you throw. Maybe Priest and Finn lose, or like Priest loses and doesn't cash in, and you put it on them. So then then there's tension there as they're a tag team. But WWE needs to steal ultimately. I wouldn't put it on them. They need to steal something from AEW and have a triple, I don't know what they're called, but tag team, but 3 guys, right? That's what you do. You need a tag team with 3 people. And Clue can probably tell me what the technical name for that is. But you got to get the belts off KO and Sammy, because they're going back to the mid card. It's like, all right, y'all had the bloodline thing. Trios. It's just called trios. Thanks, Clue. They need to steal that. They need to steal that and give. Well, I don't know if New Day, because Big E still hurt, but
Yeah,
New
doesn't
Day.
sound like Big E coming back.
Yeah.
So,
But
and nobody did that better as far as that trio tag team champions.
yeah.
Like the New Day did it. So,
Yes. Those guys, the Viking dudes. You got the Sheamus's crew, the Brawling Brutes. You
Oh yeah.
you got a bunch of trios. Why are we not having a trios championship? Run that and then throw the tag titles, to somebody else. I could even see Gunther's crew, the Imperium.
Mm.
Let them run it a little bit. You know, um, I don't necessarily like them, but I mean, Gunther's on the rise.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Clue said on Twitter, if you look at it, Zika Fatu is at Booker T's. Oh, he's on Booker T's promotion. Jacob Fatu and Lance, I'm butchering their last name. Anoi are in MLW, also doing independent circuits, and you can also have another son of Rikishi. There's your family feud while adding The Rock. That would be that would be crazy. That would be really, really crazy. And just having all, especially if they did a war games like that, that would be the way to do that. So, well, my brother, I know, I've taken up almost 2 hours of your time.
Oh man, this was hey bro, don't even worry about it. This was fun.
Yes,
And just like you said from, at the beginning, yo, this has been a long time coming. We got to do more of, the Colonel and Select coming together, what I'm saying, talk about, sports or movies or whatnot. Of course, we're going to be doing start doing some reviews, starting off with the Blue Beetle,
yes,
that we're going to go check out the premiere this week. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about doing more of WWE because you love the WWE, I love the WWE,
yes.
and so what's the next pay per view?
Uh,
What's their what
excuse me. I think it's Fastlane,
pay is it? No, it's Payback, right?
or is it maybe it's Payback?
Yeah, I think it's Payback.
Let's
So
see.
but anyway, yeah, looking forward to doing this more with you, my brother, man, and you know, just so yeah, like I said, I had a great time, had a great time. Glad we finally got a chance to get together and talk about SummerSlam.
Yes,
Like I said, that's my favorite pay per view anyway,
yes,
and so so obviously I had a lot to say about it.
yeah. I appreciate the insight, man, and I love. It's always good for the channel when we got you like Cody. I've I'm coming closer to
Yeah, you'll
understanding
get there
Cody.
eventually. You'll get there.
But we both definitely, we can see
Yeah.
the genius in Roman for sure.
Oh yeah.
And it's good. This is
Yeah.
a good video, good live stream, and good podcast. So why don't you give them? I'm gonna make your screen here a little bit smaller so they can see your YouTube page. But yeah, why don't you give them your social, all your social stuff?
Yeah. Definitely make sure that my website, colonelcrunk.com, you can go up there, videos, my music, YouTube stuff that I do, like my Colonel's Crunk series, um, Above the Rim series, which is kind of more basketball related. So I got a little bit of for everybody out there. So on my channel. So if you're into retro gaming, I do some retro gaming stuff. That's up on my YouTube channel as well. Once again, that's Colonel Crunk TV for my YouTube channel. Like I said, my website, colonelcrunk.com. And then, of course, with the outreach stuff that I do, reaching out to the community, the homeless and those that are gang involved and incarcerated right here in our community that I partner with Select and um, his ministry and everything on. That's glifeoutreach.org. So you can check out there. Plus, we've got more. There's all kind of music and everything up on that website as well, and videos and different things like that you can check out. So, like I said, we do a little bit of it all. So once again, movie reviews, I do a monthly top upcoming movie releases for each month. So, kind of gives you an ideal of what's coming out each month. And I put that out like a week before we go into the new month for the new month. So then that way, once again, you kind of get an idea, like I said, of what's coming out and what the Colonel thinks is hot and what I think is not. So, and then, but yeah, so, check me out on any of those. Appreciate the support, appreciate the love. Make sure to, like and subscribe on my channel and any of my videos that are up there. And, definitely, keep your ear to the streets because we, got a lot more on the horizon, a lot more that we're going to be working on. Not only myself, but also teaming up with Select Screen and doing some different things. Once again, for gaming, movies, music. I love media. That's what I'm all about. So, I got my hand in a few different areas um, of all of that. So
Love that.
definitely check me out.
Yes, definitely, man. Definitely go check him out. Definitely subscribe to the channel. And like I said, you guys, good content um, over on Colonel Crunk. Thank you so much, man. I'm gonna go ahead and hit
Hey,
this outro real quick.
appreciate you having me on, man. And like I said, looking forward to what's next.
All right. That's what's up, man. I love that dude, man. He's an incredible guy. Side story, he helped me really solidify my music and stuff like that, and really has given a lot of opportunities to me and my team, man. We probably wouldn't be doing this stream actually because he's helped me out in a lot of stuff. So definitely go support again one more time at Colonel Crunk TV is his YouTube, and then again specifically for the music is glifeoutreach.org. All right. Appreciate you, Selector, so much. Shout out to Clue. Shout out to DJ Crystal Clear.
Perfect.
You guys are amazing, man. Everybody for following us right here on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, let's see, Instagram, Apple and Spotify podcasts. Woo! It's time for me to go get something to eat. I'm hungry. All right. Appreciate you, Selectors, so much, man. You've been amazing as we end this 2-hour podcast on SummerSlam 2023. Again, linktr.ee/select screen. I need you guys to do 2 things for me, though. Be kind to one another. Remember to
Choose your destiny.
My name is Select Screen. And man, have a great night, a great day. I'm out.